why do I need to win? And I was like, I think if we did something a little different, it's going to make people super happy. They're going to stick around, and I got to make this a win-win. So my thought process around it was do 4 nines. And we do 4 nines. The employees either have a Monday off or a Friday off. So they have 3-day weekends every week. So our median tenure is like 8.6 years.
Hey guys, Damien Stevens, host of MSP Mindset, founder and CEO of Cerbosity. Today, I continue my mission to interview 100 of the fastest growing and most interesting MSPs on the planet. Today, I am blessed to be joined by Scott Whitstock. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you struggled with keeping your key team members? Imagine Scott, who's in Seattle with all the big companies recruiting talent away. He cracked the code on employee retention with far longer tenure than anybody else. One of his secrets is he figured out the 4-day work week. Seems impossible? At an MSP, that's exactly what I thought. If you want to know how he manages to drive amazing retention of his team and have a 4-day work week, don't miss out on my conversation with Scott today. Scott, I want to start this conversation off differently than most. And I want to talk about, there's several avenues of people that I can see you care about, but I want to start at kind of the beginning in terms of hiring. So if I understand, you've hired people most people would just overlook and not give a second thought.
Yes, that is my strategy now, is to find diamonds in the rough kind of folks. I search, I hold our first interview, and it's a personality fit conversation. I always will tell them this is just a conversation. I just want to get to know you. I am not going to ask you any technical questions, and I do, and I get them to drop their guard a little bit.
Nice.
And then we just kind of talk, and some of those conversations are short, and some of those like go on a while, and those ones that go on a while tend to be the people that end up at our company. And so in getting to that step, as these resumes come across my desk, we're in this competitive market in the Seattle area. So it's really hard. It's really hard to find potential talent. And if they're experienced, it's really hard to get them, it's really hard. Because an MSP might as well just say hard work inside it's super hard to be an MSP, and it takes a different level of person that wants to work hard and run around all over the place. 1 minute you're working on this, next minute you're working on this, and oh, by the way, you need to document everything because you're a vendor. And so those are all the little things. I'll look for longevity on their resume, which is pretty not very common anymore. You see people.
It's increasingly rare.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen it. 1 year, 2 years, sometimes 6 months. And it's just like, man, training you up in our industry is expensive in time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, if you're going to, if I knew you were going to stay a year, I'd never hire you, right? Yeah. You're never going to get past you're not going to be super effective. I don't think you'll love it as much either, right? It's not that it's horrible. It just takes some time. So if I understand, you hired somebody that had been unemployed for quite a while. You hired a former Cheesecake Factory kitchen staff.
Drywaller.
So a drywaller. So why do you even give somebody like that the time of day?
The one that had been unemployed, I saw the resume. The resume was 15 years at one place. And then beyond that, it's like, hey, I went to college, or I went to high school, it's one and only job. And he didn't know how to market himself, is what I figured. And I was right. we've all met those personalities, and especially in our space. Like our space attracts kind of quieter, like we struggle to get all of our technicians onto camera, so these are those people, and so they aren't always best at marketing themselves. And so finding those ones, kind of they applied, so they did the right step, and then from there I kind of test them a little bit. They don't know that, but I do. I'll next thing I'll do is send an email introducing myself and offer a Calendly appointment to discuss with them a little further. I've already at this point explored their socials and kind of have an idea what they're about. Are they going to be a good fit for our organization? At least on that front, or no glaring issues. Which LinkedIn's pretty helpful for that. And then the test goes through there. Like, how are you going to respond back to me? How quickly are you going to respond back to you? How polite? Can you do some of the basics of, "Hi, Scott, thanks for reaching out." Or am I going to get a series of digital grunts?
Right.
And if it's like that, it's like, "I'm sorry, I don't have time to reparent you." To do what your parents should have done, is taught them how to, "Yes, sir, let me hold the door open for you, sir." Yeah, I don't expect my people calls you sir, no, but hopefully you get what I mean. It's just like the manners. I don't have time to teach you that. I don't have time to say, "Hey, yes, I followed your instructions. Yeah, I selected a time. Thanks for," even if you're declining someone of something, you say, "Thanks for offering. I appreciate that."
That's right.
It goes a long way.
Yeah. So these diamond in the rough, which is what I do as well. I hire the same way, but I'm curious, what drove that? Is it the competition in Seattle? Is it your personality? Is it something else?
It's got to be personality. I think I got away from it for a while, and then I came back to that. When I got away from it, I was trying to hire based off of skill sets and stuff like that, and it wasn't going well, and they didn't last long. And I was like, "What am I doing? This is not my roots. My roots are to take someone and mold them and make them into one of our team members." And the other things, like I said, I search for hard jobs. It says a lot about someone if they worked in a kitchen for many years. But number one, it says, "I'll do whatever it takes to care for my family." And it also goes, "I'm not scared of the hard work." And that person I'm thinking about rose from a network cabler to our lead and our co-lead project guy. He's has so many projects. He's so phenomenal. And he's has all the skill sets, and if he ever watches this, he's going to ask for a raise, because I think very, very highly of him. But I also see people like him as Fidelis' future. Like they're the ones that can carry the company, because they have the same heartbeat that I have already, and so now it's like not tough to move on to the next phase or whatever for me, or to hand them some of that.
Yeah,
because they already care deeply.
Yeah. We were talking just kind of backstage about being a little different. And I feel like you've got to be different to hire the diamond in the rough. I've talked about that with so many other people, and they're like, I think it would take a lot longer to ramp them up. I just need this role filled now, or I don't know how to do that because, I put out a job rec that says, CS degree and 5 years experience. And, I need, so give me your take on, let's start with, do you feel like these people take longer? In other words, are you generally looking for more junior people? Or even with junior people, do you feel like the benefit is worth maybe that longer term investment?
I think the benefit's worth the investment. It is hard when you're desperate. Everything's hard when you're desperate.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we all make bad decisions, right? trying to move quick. So I guess one thing I would tell anyone is listening, if they're try to keep yourself out of being desperate. Think ahead. Don't have single points of failure. Have we focus on a 2-person integrity type of system or more. Like someone else knows your job. And if you stay focused on that, you don't get desperate. Yeah. And do interviews when you don't need a person. I've hired when I don't need them, or I keep them in my back pocket and then hire them later because I'll be, sometimes they love their new job or love where they're at, but making that connection, there's nothing better to an employee of anywhere to get that. I've been an employee to have that person reach out and go, "Hey, Scott, you want to be the director of our Salt Lake office?" Or Spokane or whatever I've gotten offer over the years. It's flattering. And so if you keep those resumes, I do have them, and they will be the first people I reach out to when I have an opening. And I'll be like, "Hey, I had a great conversation. I really remember you." And I say all of those things, and I do remember them. It's not fake. I write a bunch of notes and take care, and I save those recordings, and I go back and, because I think there's a lot of bad employment opportunities too, especially in our space. And so we also do some other things to try to attract them in. So, but yeah, my advice is, I know it's expensive, but keep people in your back pocket. Hire, always be ready to hire, because it keeps you out of desperation. And believe in yourself. I'm growing always. So
you're a bigger MSP than the average. So does that mean you feel like you need to be hiring maybe ahead because I assume you're not always hiring people with experience in the industry?
Most people don't. Most people don't have a lot of experience. I think I've legitimately only hired one person that ever worked for an MSP. And that was my last hire in January. And he's amazing. A senior level, director level kind of person. And I've known him for 20 plus years. So, and I've been trying for a long time. And I finally it was him that came to me. So, but yeah, I'm glad to have him. Other people do have experience, like maybe have a couple people from the military that had technology experience. That's another good one. Give every and any vet a chance. At the very least, they will be on time. Yeah, the simplest of basics, but they do. We didn't have options. When I was in the military, I didn't have an option. If I was sick, I still reported to work and then asked to be sick. Like, can I be sick? Like, we'll issue orders to be sick. But that's how it was. So anytime you see that, I know there's a lot of fake ones out there though too. You got to watch that, and it's fake resumes because they're trying to earn our trust with those fake resumes. Recommendation on that is always request a verified LinkedIn account, or don't give them the time of day. Because if they're not willing to go that extra step to get the job, you probably don't want them. So that's another thing. Weed them out as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Speaking of that, if you lower the requirements, in other words, you're not looking for this degree or experience in your industry, in my experience, you get a lot more applicants. And most people have no idea what to do with that. Because you can go from getting 3 because you made the job requirement so hard to like 100.
Or hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah. Or hundreds. So how do that's the thing. Most people, they kind of throw their hands up and say, I don't know what to do. I give up. They all say they're, great people. And most people don't have a filter at that layer. So what do you do?
Luckily, I'm not a technician or solving technical issues. So I'm not trying to do that at the same time. That's where it's hard, is when you're still in those other roles. Yeah. My core responsibility is the company's growth, and the only thing that I participate in operationally is sales, as a part of the 2-person integrity system, sometimes 3. With our sales, we join as a group. I participate in that and hiring, and I've always kept payroll just because, sensitivity of it. One day I'll do that. But so anyway, I have time. It's easy to say I have time, but I think what I look at quickly is I get those resumes. I'm old school. I print them off. I write on them. I look at those candidates. First of all, I weed them out first. Are you here? Are you local enough? Can you drive to this job?
Right.
And that is another. We primarily work remotely, but we still drive around all over the Seattle area. It's up and down this whole region. Anyone that understands this region, and to get what should only take 30 minutes or 20 minutes takes 2 hours. So like, if you're not close to some of these accounts, you may not make sense to, that's not going to last. It's not sustainable. So I can weed them out by that. I weed them out by, the ones like you have to have a, where an Indeed or whatever, license, you have to have Washington State driver's license. I don't have time to see if you're going to move here and like it. I guarantee it, if you're coming from a warm environment, I can tell you how many Californians have moved here over the years and end up turning around after 2 winters here and just go, it wasn't that it rains a lot. It's just dark and gray. Like, that's not, you can't make that life change. Like when you're used to seeing, so I weed them out that way. I see the job hoppers. For anyone that's listening about that, I've done a couple middle school job fairs and a couple job fairs, and everyone, what's your advice? I'm like, well, here's my advice. Show up on time, learn to type, and keep a job for longer than a year.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of them prove to me that you're just not trying to pad your resume. And each one of these, you're just getting a salary increase. Eventually, you're going to get to that point where no one's going to hire you because you're going to want to make $100,000 a year because every year you've just kept on getting more. But eventually, someone's going to go, for what? What do you do? Yeah. Like, how do you bring value to my team? Like, and so that I weed those people out pretty quickly. Now, sometimes you'll see things on resumes where they do that early, or they work for a contractor and they don't understand it, so they're listing out the places they went to. And it's like, man, don't do that. Just tighten it up and tell me you worked at the contractor for a while, where, if you're applying for our type of job, say, hey, I worked for this one company. We see this a lot where they go to Microsoft, Costco, or whatever, and they're Dell. And it's like, just say that. Yeah. And say what your responsibilities were. I took a thing over here for 6 months. You don't want to, it's as employers, that's one of our worst things is losing and getting people. It's in benefits and everything else it costs. Like, the soft costs are huge.
Oh yeah. So it's really interesting when you start from this kind of personality fit and move them through there. Is there anything else you've learned in this kind of unconventional hiring process?
Yeah, so I'll do that, and I'll know if it's a good conversation really quickly, and so I'll cut it off quickly too, and not rudely, but I'll cut it off. Hey, 15 minutes or whatever was allotted. I'll do and just kind of know, like I look for other soft skills too. Do you smile? Do you laugh? Do you, is there joy? Because like, if you bring that to the table, even if you're in a bad situation and you're smiling towards your customer, in the right moments, they go like, it means a lot. Like I'm sure you remember back in the day, customer service phone operators would have mirrors on their computers to see themselves smile.
Yeah. 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 You can hear the difference.
Yeah. So I'd weed them out. I write the notes, and then I decide who's going to go to the next level. Again, another test. The next level goes to a technical team review. I'll have a senior technician. We rotate through that, and our CTO will interview the next technical group. And my employees will tell me a lot. Like, oh, no, I could work with this guy. No, he's awesome. Or, your employees will let you know if they want to work with someone or not. And that's the next step. Don't take it out of some of the management, only the managers, because the managers we're just trying to fill the hole.
Yeah.
The employees are going like, I don't want to answer this guy's phone call every other day. No, this guy's awesome. Or when I do, he'll answer mine too. They'll tell you a lot.
Interesting.
So that's the next phase. And we go through like for 3 phases. And then we do an in-person one as well as one of those phases, just to try to get them, we want to see what happens. All those little tests, are you the person that's going to be waiting in my parking lot for 15 minutes? Most of them are. Some of them I've heard, I'm like, I know. I'm like, you were at the gas station, weren't you? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, how'd you know? I was like, because that's what I would have done.
That's funny.
Yeah. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I would have totally done that and then shown up because I didn't want you to feel awkward that I was sitting in your parking lot.
Right. It's funny. It can remind them that you're still human. You still think the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Right. As an employer.
Yeah, I still screw up all the time. Ask my wife.
You managed to have this really good retention that we just don't always see nowadays, especially like you said, as people move on. And something that I found really hard to pull off is this change in going away from a 5-day work week.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Okay. So our median tenure is like 8.6 years.
That's really good.
Yeah, I feel blessed. Yeah. And a few years back in the fun pandemic era times, when we finally, things kind of slowed down. I'm sure most of us had the same experience. It was like 2020, we were gangbusters because of get us on teams. And we're just remotes, we were gangbusters. And we were super busy. But then in 2021, everyone pumped the brakes because they kind of got to the place where they were and we all froze, right? I did as a business owner too. I didn't want to do anything. And so I kind of took that moment and how I felt. I was like, I'm frozen. And I'm like, I can't be. I have to start. It doesn't matter that we're going to get through this. Hopefully we don't lose any loved ones. We gotta run in. And so I was like, all right, I lost some people to, we lost people to Costco corporate, which is in our backyard. And guess who was super busy? One person drugged 3 people with them, all junior level. They panicked, but honestly, they saved us too, because I didn't have to lay off anyone. So it never got awkward.
Oh, that's great.
So they left and I was like, hey, there's plenty of work now. Everyone's busy. So we started, all working from home, doing that stuff. We still do. And as much as we can. And so I was like, hey, there's more important things than spending 40 hours, 50 hours a week at work. We have to do it. It's, to afford our lifestyles and that. And I was like, well, what can I do as an employer to, I spend more time with my coworkers than I do my kids. I was like, didn't feel good. And so I was like, all right, well, let's do 410s. And I was like, so I talked about that. And then it was like, well, maybe the I forget this. There was like a 72. I can't remember 9 where you do 9 hours and you get in every other Friday or whatever. Thanks to our PSA tool, they couldn't accommodate that because that was probably where it was most leaning. And because the 10s didn't make sense because I didn't have work on those out. There wasn't enough work on those extra hours in that work day. So at some point I asked myself, I was like, why does the employer always win? And who made up 40 hours a week? Like, why? Like, why is it like this? And I do understand where some of that came from, but it still didn't, I was frustrated because I remember when it felt like to be an employee and ownership talking to me about EBITDA. I'm like, you pay me like $16 an hour, man. What the heck are you talking about? Like, I'm worried about paying for daycare and getting home on time, and you're going to hold me up in this kind of meeting? So I kind of remembered that. It meant nothing to me. I did learn a lot about it early, I guess, but so it helped in some degree. But so anyway, when we got to that, where I kind of decided, like, why do I need to win? And I was like, I think if we did something a little different, it's going to make people super happy. They're going to stick around, and I got to make this a win-win. And so my thought process around it was, let's do 4 9s. And we do 4 9s, and we either have the employees either have a Monday off or a Friday off. So they have 3-day weekends every week, except for when they're on call. That's amazing. And we just figured it out.
Twofolds, because I was an MSP, and also been a software company, and you can work whenever as a software developer. There's no client contact of us. So there's a lot more. But like an MSP, your clients work certain hours. They're going to call. So I think it's amazing to have that flexibility. It's easier in a lot of businesses where you're not an MSP. So I'm curious how you decided to work out that, and how you even knew if you had the capacity to have less people, half as many people, whatever that works out to be on a Monday or Friday.
So we front loaded, at the time, we front loaded our strongest, most consistent technicians on Mondays. So they got Fridays off. And then, but we still then took a couple senior technicians and made sure they were there on Friday too. So we kind of balanced that out. Luckily, I already had tenure, so it was pretty easy to split the group of 6 people. And then we went and started adding the junior people around them. And then we did different shifts where someone starts at 7 and gets off at 5, and someone starts at 8 and gets off at 6. So we spread out our day, and then we offered to our clients, we elongated the day to our clients as well, because it also met them where they were at. I mean, we don't always have the same schedule or time, but I still have the technology issue that I need to get resolved. So we had a huge success in increasing it to our business hours, and it made customers really happy. It made technicians really happy. And so as time has gone on, we let people, they don't start off on our flex scheduling. We start everyone off on 40s. And then we roll them into it once they kind of earn post 90 days, and then they get to be a part of that system. But the system works because of them, and they know that. And so as long as they continue that ownership, the system just works. Now, as a business owner and an employer, I should say, more of being a CEO, not even the business owner, CEO is like, I was worried about efficiency, or are we going to get our job done?
Yeah.
And I had a thought that we were going to save money, believe it or not. And I was like, I think we waste time. I think I've been an employee. I'm still an employee.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you find yourself on a Friday afternoon phoning it in a little bit? and you're busy work, right? It's not saying they're not working or accusing anyone that. They're checking emails, they're watching this podcast. I watch this one if you're going to watch one. But they're watching, it feels like real work, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
So I thought we would eliminate overtime, and we did. We have it occasionally, but very often.
You said you thought you might save money, and I was like, how does just changing the hours save money?
Yeah, overtime. We don't have overtime very infrequently. Does our IT team have overtime? And occasionally it'll pop up, but oh man, we saved hours, plenty of hours.
What's interesting, because if you think about it, when you're talking about Friday afternoon phoning it in, you're requiring people to be there when there's not as much work to be done, which basically, from like a local maximum perspective, means that if there ever is this need, you're going to go into overtime. You know, I don't think we think about that, but that's essentially how most employment is wired.
Yeah. I wish I had the number to tell you, but it saved us money. It really did. And what we were able to do too at that time is our employees were like kind of mind blown, like, okay, what's the catch? And I was like, no, really, there's not. And they're like, well, we're going to lose money because we're not getting those 4 hours. I'm like, no. We're going to do a pay raise. Plus you're going to get whatever you got paid on 40. Your value to this company did not change. I'm trying to give you something.
So you're paying him for 36, if I understand what you're saying, right? But you went back and did the math and said, let's give you a raise so that you're taking home what you took home with 40.
Yep. Plus that. And then we did a cost of living at the same time. So they actually made more. Everyone made more.
Wow.
Many times people looked at me and like, you're crazy, man.
Right. Yeah.
Worst case scenario doesn't work. And you know, how many times are we hamstrung because it may not work?
Right. Yeah. I love that. Right. We think about what we're going to lose instead of what we might gain all too often, right? Sunk cost fallacy. What drove this? Because you got employee engagement that's doing incredibly well, extra hour for your work, maybe more for your clients, and ended up actually saving money, right? All these things which are crazy. And it's the kind of business decision. 1 is great. 2 is really good. I mean, I didn't see the saving money one. That one kind of came out of left field. So what was the genesis for this?
I think I root myself in a lot of my decision making goes through the filter of obviously my past, but it also goes through a filter of my value system. And one of my values is like time spent, family time. And so I just put my empathy in and put myself in their shoes. I do remember there was a period where I was like I said, racing home to get to daycare before they close. And it was just like the company that I worked for didn't care.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say that we need to be everyone's everything. We can't, but if I can give them some little piece of life back. And then another stipulation we made is, that time is for your personal business too. You can't now also be calling in sick or having hangover effects or
doctor appointment, dentist appointment type of stuff.
Now those ones are tricky because we don't all have control over when people are available. But what we ask them to do is it's a very honor system where hey, I try to get my dentist appointment rescheduled, but I'm going to make it up on the flex day. I'm coming in.
Yeah.
I'm going to make those hours back up because the commitment is those hours, that set amount. We're counting on you to deliver. And so they do, and they're really, really self-managing. And this is probably that Marine Corps moment that I probably went through. Is anyone that was at least in the Marine Corps, I don't know what it was like in other branches, but one of the things they do is like you get in a formation and they go, here's our problem. Someone screwed up. And then that sergeant walks away and that whole platoon's just sitting there going like, who was it? And they fix themselves. We fix it. The coworkers fix it.
Nice.
And they, because it ruins all our experience. And then when you're that person that did do the screw up or not, you don't want to let down the guy that's next to you because you ruined his weekend. That's the last place you want to be. And so this group once they got it, and then anyone that comes in, I barely have to say anything about it because the other team like, don't screw this up for us.
Yeah. Well, it's, I've heard of the concept, but it's still got to be an incredibly small percentage of businesses that do a 4-day work week. And MSP is such a tough business.
Oh,
right?
it is. It's hard. Yeah.
So to pull it off in an MSP business seems even more rare and amazing. And so hopefully, that is wonderful. And but I love that it sounds like they realize that, and they've got to continue to do a good job to where it makes sense for your clients and for the business.
I think since we've implemented it, we had 2 people move on. One person, just needed a better insurance. They were doing some health stuff. And one person, from the get-go, we knew they weren't going to stick around. They were fresh out of college and wanted experience. And they had more of a software developer game, and they wanted to develop games. And we knew they were coming, but it's been great. I actually now get to participate in it. I didn't. Leadership, the executive team, we get every other Friday off. I still work most of them, to be honest, but the best thing is everyone thinks I'm gone.
There you go.
So I get a lot done.
I love the candor.
It feels kind of, you don't feel the guilt on those days, right. Even if I'm working, to go and hey, I'm doing my laundry or I'm exercising that day. It just release me of that guilt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. If you need to do something, it's not like you need to feel. It's funny you say that, because as an owner, it's like sometimes I'll run an errand or do something and I now feel guilty. And I'm like, all these years in, I can't give myself the grace for an
17
hour.
Going on 18, I still feel that. And it's like, and if you ask most of my employees, they don't know ever where I am. I don't know. That's my own judgment of myself behind me, going, "Oh, you don't work hard enough." But you gotta, at some point, we gotta remember, as in our positions, we are no longer transactional employees.
Right.
It's not. I'm paid for my outcomes and not how many hours I logged. Yep. And that's a tough transition for a lot of people. And it took me a while too. It's like, does it matter how many hours I work if I'm delivering results?
Yeah. Yeah. Scott, I wanted to say thank you for your service in the Marines.
I really appreciate it. Very not selfless at the time, but
everybody's got to have a reason.
Yeah. I just didn't, I'm old enough to know, I was just, at the time, truthfully, I was a wrestler. I loved being physical. And it was 30 years ago, I guess, you coming out of high school, you're I didn't want to pick a career. That sounded ridiculous. And that's kind of when you were choosing college. I didn't have a lot of college around me. So I didn't have a lot of families going, no, that's not how it is. Just my advice right now, and my rule for my children, I have 3 children, is it doesn't matter what you do, but you do something. Right. Tech school, military, college, just prove you can do 4 years, 2 years, do something. And do it out of the staying house, please, because that is part of growth. You're not going to live in my basement. And, remember when we were graduating high school, you got luggage, sometimes packed.
Yeah.
And it's just, and so that was just kind of I was like, well, I'm not going to sit around and just keep my dead end job. I'm going to go do something. And I loved every minute of it. I really did. I was blessed in there was no conflict at the time. And I made lifelong friends, lifelong disciplines, destroyed one marriage. But it was, thank you for thanking me. I would do it again if I had to do my life all over again.
How did that shape your leadership?
I think what I realized, how it shaped my leadership, is because I used to judge the sergeants that became coworkers. To me, they were old and salty, and they were probably 25. but age didn't mean leadership. And so, because I was quickly equal to them, and then quickly handed more than now. So I did recognize that. I'm not saying that there isn't wisdom in age. That's for dang sure. But so it shaped me that way. And then the Marine Corps has so many leadership trainings and the thing that, this is probably one of the best takeaways from the Marine Corps that I had is I do not fear a tough conversation. Like unless you have a drill instructor hat on, you do not scare me. Them and my mom are the only two people on this planet I'm scared of. And so you can say whatever you want to say. You can get mad. You can threaten. You can do all those things, customer, employee, whatever. Like, I'm just not scared to have a tough conversation and call it at least how I see it. And I don't think I come off like a jerk, but it made me come at things point blank when I need to. I have dialed it back, and I'm probably kinder than I was over the years, but I've learned a lot. But that one really shaped me, for sure. And I think that's like what most people would actually take away from me is like, you're just not scared to tell someone, hey, we got to straighten this up. It's not unacceptable.
Yeah, that can really bite you if you're not willing to have that tough conversation.
It's hard.
I learned that the hard way.
Here's the thing that I would tell anyone: time does not make it better. No. It doesn't make it easier. It actually and you probably know what I'm talking about. It sits on you every night as a leader. Like that same person's going to be the same problem tomorrow. And it's going to go on for weeks. And then really what ends up happening is you're being judged by your coworkers and your other people, and it's weakening your leadership instead of strengthening it. You're only doing that for one person. That's your fragile little, like, I'm scared to do this. Yeah. You're not helping anyone when you do that. And just do it kindly. That's what most people in those really tough situations, they know it's coming too. Like they're going to, I mean, how many times have you had to unfortunately terminate someone? They're like, well, I thought this was coming. I'm like, let this go on for a month. So I just, that was the lesson. That was definitely a lesson.
Well, you mentioned something else that I think it hit me, which is kind of this rediscovery. We were talking about, you've been doing this 18, I've been doing this 20 years, something like that for each of us. And it's like, is this who I am? What else is there? And, I've had those thoughts, and I've talked to so many others that are like, well, I mean, if I did move on, then what?
Yeah. A couple years ago, we analyzed, just like everyone in the MSP space, if you're a sizable MSP, especially in the beginning of the year, there's something in your inbox every other day from private equity.
Right.
And I knew I wasn't ready to be done, but I was like, oh, let's explore this a little bit. And just, it's kind of a free litmus test, right?
Yeah.
And money was great. It was. And I was like, oh, maybe we should do it for the money. And I was like, well, when do I do anything for the money? Like, and I asked myself, like, what am I going to do all day? Because eventually probably private equity, I don't have a role there. I could negotiate that for a while, but I would imagine at some point you just don't have a role, because and that's a two-way thing. It's like I come and go as I please. And you have a keeper now. You have an employer, and that's hard to go back from. And
I tell people I've been unemployed for 20 years.
Yeah.
Employing myself.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, when I kind of looked into that, I was like, who am I? What do I do? And like, what would I want to do? Because I'm so used to staying organized. I'm so used to opening Outlook, my calendar, Calendly, Excel, all of these things. Even like my own personal bookkeeping can only be done. There's another way that I was odd. I was like, I've been bookkeeping for myself for 30 plus years, like to the penny. But you can only do so much with your own personal stuff. So I was like, all right, what am I going to do? And so I just spent a lot of time thinking on that, analyzing that, and going, you know what? I have barriers to my hobbies now. I need to eliminate some of these barriers to make it easier, because I think that's why it was like it. Like if the exercise equipment's put away and you got to pull it out, it makes it harder to exercise. But if you have a dedicated gym, it's nice. Just walk in and like, I'll do a set.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I never want to, but
right.
But I do it anyway. And I recognized I had barriers. So I started lightening those barriers. Like for example, I like doing woodworking, making. I like making things. I would say, I say woodworking. I'm more of a handyman, and I just like improving things. I would like to dabble a little bit more in some fine woodworking. That'd be awesome. But, and learn more. I like those type of missions, but every time I had to go in there, I had my other hobbies in my way. And my other hobbies of art and painting and drawing. So I had a kind of a shop or whatever. And it was every time you want to woodwork, now you're covering all that stuff because of the dust. And so I would just find myself, well, I'm not going to do that. And so when I started eliminating those barriers, and it's kind of the personal lesson to the life lesson, and going, hey, eliminate as many barriers you can to the things you enjoy. And when you get a little bit more organized in your space, you're liable to pick up that paintbrush for 5 minutes and find that just joy. And then I focused my energy when I could on the things I lost myself in. Does that make sense? The things that time doesn't exist. Like you go in at 7 a.m. and all of a sudden the kids are in there going, Dad, it's time for dinner. And you're like, oh, probably should have drank water. Yeah. But I love it. And so I go kind of cyclical through phases. Like I do my indoor things in the winter, like 3D printing and making. And I tend to do more of the kind of shop related stuff in the summer because hauling materials and stuff. And then I went back to coaching. I coached wrestling, flag football, track, and basketball and baseball over the years. Wrestling I did for about 20 plus years as a coach, and then finished that kind of wrestling coaching career a few years back. It was getting harder to. As a wrestling coach, you got to show moves, and the older I get, it's a little harder. So I kind of recognized an opportune time to kind of step away from the middle school I was at. They were like splitting into a new school. I'm like, hey, some of these kids aren't going to even know me. And so I was like, this is the time. And so I did that for quite a few years, 20 on that one. And then I did as a middle school, I think it was 5 or 7 years, and we were dominant, and I loved every minute of it. And so I found a way to bring coaching back into my life. And so my kids joined, my 2 daughters, they're younger, joined a city track team. And it was like a week later, I was in coaching. Like I didn't ask, they just were shorthanded, and I'm like, hey, I can help. And at that point I already coached middle school track. So, but I had this whole city team, 200 plus kids with the poor guy that was trying to run it, who I still coach with today. And now I'm his co-head coach, and we have track practice tonight. And so that was one area that I still, it gives me a lot of, it provides a lot of fun and joy, purpose. And it's work too. It's not, I don't know how kids are, or how people are teachers, but because I have 5-year-olds to 14, I think, on this team, and but it's rewarding and fun. And, that also led me into coaching cross country, as well. The thing with cross country though, is you got to run with them.
Mm-hmm.
Track practice, I just sit there with a whistle. It's great.
Yeah.
But cross country, it's like we get out there miles, like, and yeah. So I found these hobbies. I tried to rediscover who I was and make sure I knew who I was. And there's nothing wrong with staying on and working and doing your thing. I like you. I'm interested in some software things that we've built over time for Fidelis and our MSP.
Yeah.
I mean, we have tools that we built. We have a product. I'm sitting on a product. I may dabble in that.
Yeah.
And then, probably I don't have a desire to be the next ConnectWise or anything like that. But who knows? Maybe I build a tool that someone else would be interested in growing a little further. Once I get past the point of where I have too many employees again, no, it's time to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But
what are you dabbling in now that you're enjoying?
Most of it's business efficiency tools. The things that I naturally will end up on people's boards for. It just kind of like, I don't know. Most of us use software, but like those things, or when we're using the software, where you're like, why are you making me click to this other page?
Yeah.
Like why do I need to expand just because some software developer thought it was cool?
Right.
So those fits and finishes in those things, and then honestly, it being in this MSP space for so long and watching the acquisitions, and basically at some point I'm frustrated that I'm becoming a vendor, basically, or a franchise of our providers, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like that. We're kind of all stuck in that. I'm sure that makes sense to people. How many more Kaseya products can I sell?
Right.
And we used to, and so I think if some of us don't go out there and go, hey, I mean, we were developing our own internal, not as good as IT glue, to be clear, but it was solving our problem. Mm-hmm. And then that came out, and I'm like, well, I guess that, and I was never thinking of marketing or anything like that, but it was solving our problem. And I'm like, hey, they were just an MSP just like us.
Yeah.
So I think there was a bunch of them like that.
Yeah.
Those of us that use TimeZest, or, they're just small little operations that are solving our business needs. And, I think I have some tools and that we could put together and make the experience for both MSPs and our customers better. And like all the areas that, as IT, we always just focus on look, what is our agent? What is this going to do? Mm-hmm. What is this antivirus? Don't forget there's dispatch, there's contracts, there's bookkeeping. Those are the areas I spend so much time in my business, and they're giant time sucks because of the tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And painful. And so where I find those pain points, I go like, what can I do, and build around that.
What's your take on, since you're talking about tools, what's your take on AI?
I think it's brilliant, yet scary. I use the crap out of it. I like it for it. I think the people that are going to be most successful at it treat it like a assistant, and instead of a tool. You got to help correct it. Yep. I think you'll find the experience better. And I think I'm sure everyone in our space is doing the same thing. I think the next steps for us as MSPs is it's got to be provided as a tool to our technicians in our team. They're using it anyway. Yeah. I provide them a phone, I provide them a computer. So I think that's got to be a part of the job now. Also with that, you control the rules around it. I don't need my P&Ls out on chat. I don't need to be training the model with my business secrets.
Right.
The one thing that scares me about it is I could see a future in the MSP space that it replaces the entry level. We're going to have more self-healing, more entry-level technicians could be just more or less AI. And then as business owners, this is cool in one way because we don't need all of them anymore, but you're going to need a couple people to make sure that those tools are working for us and answering the questions and doing those things. But what scares me about it is if you have no junior people, how do we have senior people?
That's right. That's exactly right. And I interviewed an MSP that built a 25-person shop, but built a 1,000-person outsourcing group. And is an interesting take on it that it's the L2 that'll go away. He said people are still going to want to talk to people, so the L1s will be there. They'll just be more like L2s by the time they get the additional AI tooling. And then how do we get to L3s? Because you still need them. They've still got to solve the issues. So whether he's right, you're the right, there's still very much a question of like, how do you get there? How do you make sure?
And I think that's how it could impact our industry. I've been at the airport in Seattle here, and one of our gates, they're testing automated wheelchairs.
Mm.
That's AI replacing someone's job. There used to be people driving those wheelchairs.
Yeah.
They were jobs, and now they're not there. So it's already started. I think the next level, I think people probably just don't understand this. If it's in a book and you can train it like the law or financial stuff, I don't know if I would want to be a paralegal.
Right.
Or even entry, like you're going to still maybe need people that litigates and doesn't screw up the case because they only rely on that. But there's some things like, like I said, P&L, drop it in there and go, what's my EBITDA?
Yeah.
I used to be able, or had to pay my accountant to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't need to do that. It's just like, it tells me, and it's not flawless, but it's getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
And it's still weak at following instructions, but so are my employees sometimes. So.
Right. So do you see it as like a strength or an opportunity, like a weakness? I mean, a threat? What are your thoughts?
I see it as all three. I think it's going to be the strength. As a managed IT company and been doing the actual recurring revenue component back to 2010. Remember when it wasn't even called this.
Yep.
And then people did not embrace that. No, the customers like it when we get in and break their RAM or put in the RAM, open up the case. And even back then I was like, that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And it's unpredictable. It's not scalable. It's all of those things. And I saw it back then. And because I came from the telecom industry all those years, we were already doing managed plans. Everyone was on a plan.
That's right.
We come from the old AT&T model.
Yeah.
You rented your systems.
Before that, it was minutes, and then it became unlimited, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and so I think it's all three of those. I think those that embrace. I'm sure you've heard, maybe not in this podcast because you're talking probably to a certain level of people, but I've heard others. We're going to embrace that, and it's just like prepare to be obsolete. The whaling industry used to be a thing.
Yeah.
And that was the lights in cities. Right. It's gone. The cab industry used to be a thing. Now they sit at the airport.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're embracing it or not. It's moving. The world's turning without you. And I think so. Be scared of it, but embrace it, learn it, what you can. It's the topic of every conference I've been at. Even if it's IT, I've been on a non-IT conference, and then they're asking it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. In my experience, they're going to look to you to kind of lead a lot of that discussion. And I think that's what's interesting is it's a challenge because it's evolving faster than any really human can keep up with. Yet, the reality, the way I see it is we, as meaning you guys as MSPs, will be the stewards of AI to small business because we collectively support all of small business.
Yeah. And that's just like how they turn to us, and those that are getting in front of that are going to be a little bit more successful because the customer may not directly be asking you.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking.
Yeah.
They like, how can business owners like us are going like, how can this improve our business? What am I missing out on?
Yeah.
And it does. I mean, one of the areas that it saved me so much time. I wouldn't say that I'm a bad writer in my content. I have never learned what a comma is or a period. I am one collective, and it's probably as even people are going to like, yeah, that's what he's doing right now in the podcast. I'm one run-on sentence. and so, but I used to have to burden people to proofread my stuff.
Right.
And now I don't at all.
Yeah.
And I have to, if it was, I do yell at it a lot. Like, quit sounding like AI.
Yeah.
Like I talk to it. That's another cheat. If anyone wants to cheat, hit that little mic button and just talk.
Yeah.
And then tell it to capture most of your voice, just clean it up. So you don't lose yourself. And like my writing looks like my writing, except for their dumb formatting.
Yeah.
I yell at it for that one all the time. I'm like, you're making this harder, not easier.
Right.
So
right.
I think it's cool. I'm glad that I'm coming at it at a place where I'm a lot more secure in my business, and I think we can embrace it. I would have been scared of this if I was a 8-person or less shop, because we don't have the time to learn it. All these things. Just think of all the things that we are licensed now and did not have 15 years ago. It's insane how many subscriptions and products and things we all have now. And it's like, I mean, what was a password manager? We didn't have anything like that.
Right. It was called
wrote it on the bottom of the keyboard.
Sticky note, right? Scott, what would you say is your biggest lesson learned in all your years?
I think staying data driven and human focused. I got out of balance at times.
Yeah, those seem orthogonal.
Yeah, if you get to it, I believe in this concept for myself personally called table X. I have table X. In my life, that's like exercise and food, rest and recovery, family and friends, and then creativity and making. And if you kick one of those table legs out, my table top will be wobbly, but it'll still keep standing. But if you kick 2 out, it's done. It falls over. And I started kind of embracing that as a person. Go like when I started feeling low, it's like, well, I'm gonna get back to basics. Get this stuff first, and then if you're still feeling low after that, then let's get some professional help, because you're not doing your basics. And so I focused on those basics, and then I started doing that for the company too, and its own version of that. And so I started just kind of learning about keeping it, if you feel it slipping, I believe simplicity scales, and the basics win. And it's like what I was telling you about being a wrestler. That's how I won. Like it wasn't fancy.
Just be the last one. My team standing.
Wasn't when I coached it.
Yeah. Outwork them.
Yeah. Well, and just so like as the wrestling analogy, like when I coached, it was like, we're going to be good on 3 moves on all the various places of wrestling. We're going to be on our feet for takedowns, and when we're on the mat and we're in a pinning combo, and we're going to learn all 3. We're going to be really good at all 3. You're going to pick your favorite, and you're going to work there. If that one's not there, you fall back to the next one. And if that one's not there too, we fall back to the next one. And if you're hitting 4, this guy's got you. You're done. Like, he's already better than you. There's nothing I can tell you at that point. And we just dominated with those basics. And it was in that I learned that, that it's like, basics matter. We get, in the wrestling world, I would call it coaching funk. Some of those moves look awesome, but they give the same results.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that was really neat. But the point value is the same. And I think there's like that in business. It's like, people could actually hear that and go, well, so is your flex day. All right. True. Maybe. But what I'm really good at is people.
Yeah.
And that's one of my basics for business is caring for the peeps.
Yeah.
Mission first, troop welfare.
Yeah. I love that. If you could do one thing over or differently, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. This one's tough. Because everything's a lesson and you learn from those mistakes that you made. I think the one thing, like we were talking about, the early days, I think I felt insecure about running a business and I didn't trust myself
and
my gut when I was leaning on others and needed accolades that I didn't need. And exposed some insecurities. And so the lesson that I learned as a entrepreneur and a business owner was, no, that comes from within. If you need to fill your heart, others aren't here to do that for you.
Yeah.
You do that for them. And it took me a while to figure that one out.
That's a really good one.
And I think about that as I'm a better parent today because of that. I'm here on this planet to make their hearts full, not the other way around. And that goes all the way until the day I die, and that's kind of how I see it. I wasn't like that as an early day employer. I needed them to go, am I doing good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I never, and so you have to find that elsewhere. And that took me a while to understand. So that would be a good lesson learned. That work on yourself and feel good about yourself inside. Don't put that on others. Find a way to make yourself whole.
That's great. What is something you're looking forward to?
The next chapter.
What does that look like for you?
I have a dream of taking this at least to the 20-year mark. I don't know why, it's just a number. But and then I think of it, my business is now, it's like a child. And it's a teenager right now. It's about ready to graduate next year. And at that point, it's like, hey, you got this. You got this. I'm here for you for a little while.
You're gonna have to give it some luggage.
Yeah. and then you bail out your kids until 20 or so, right? And, they boomerang a little bit. So it feels so much like a child that in it, so from infancy to the toddler phases to all the different phases. When it learns how to jive, you're scared. Like it's getting out there, 16 years old, and you're like, it's got it. It can go on its own. And then I'll come and change your flat tire or whatever. And it kind of feels like that. And so the next chapter, I hope to stay connected. I'm exploring some opportunities. I'm exploring some various ways to give back, and figure that, like if we wanted to have the employees take it over, run it, merge with a strategic partner, whatever is going to make me and my business partner are going to focus on what makes us sleep well at night. And that's not money. And so whatever that generates, on my watch, I want to do what I can for my people. And so I think, again, keep us out of desperation. Some people make those choices because they need the D's, right? Death, disease, divorce, right? And they get desperate. And so thinking ahead on what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, I think if I was a smaller MSP, I would join forces now, and I wouldn't be with private. It wouldn't be with private. It would be a strategic frenemy. It would be someone that you've seen at a conference, someone that's local, that knows your environment. If I had 8 or less people now, I'd be like trying to and go, hey, but I want a job.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a part of something. It's got to be hard. I can only imagine it's hard to be smaller now. That just all the protocols and things like we're filling out insurance forms for people now. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to whatever that means. I hope it's still with Fidelis, but then I can give it a couple more years after that transition of some sort, and then I would like to dabble in the software component as kind of the project, the work related project. I don't want to work a ton of hours because I want to dedicate some more time to the maker space and that stuff. I dream about opening up like a maker space. I mean, just
nice
hanging out with a bunch of people with table saws. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And deadly, but yeah.
As long as y'all leave with your thumb.
Yeah. But oh man, I just that kind of stuff motivates me. So and I look forward to if we are go the employee trust kind of option. I look forward to serving on the board, being a part of that community, be an advocate for that kind of space. I think anyone that I did not know about employee ownership at all until a few years ago. It is, I think why we don't do it is the desperation, and or you didn't think ahead, or you're not big enough, and it's hard to do if you're not big enough. You have to be a certain size, and it's hard.
Yeah,
it takes more. It's hard, but that's my thing. So whatever. So I'm exploring that. And then I hope to find a couple other in those years, the early years of that. I hope to find some others out there that are interested in the same goal, but they just couldn't do it on their own because of their size, and just go, I got a soft, awesome landing spot for your business and your peeps.
Yeah.
Nope. And so that's kind of one thing I look forward to that. I like a kind of change in mission. Sounds awesome to me.
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge now?
Time. Never enough of it. I think we all have the same amount of hours. The older I get, the more tired I get. So I feel like I sleep more, but I really don't think I do. But time. It's a challenge to fit it all in. I don't have a good answer other than cut down those barriers. I think it goes back to that. Do some first class upgrades where it matters. Analogy is if you travel a lot, get TSA pre-check and clear, so you don't spend any time at that gate.
Yeah.
Or getting through security. Think about other ways like that in your life that could, because that makes sense. You don't want to go broke to do this. But cut out the barriers.
Absolutely.
Declutter some of the stuff around you so that you get to the heart of it, but that all takes hard work, right? Up front, and do that hard work. And I think you'll pay the rewards, look at areas that, if you're in your business, if you are walking from one side of the building to the other side of the building, but you do that 10 times a day, you got to find a way to cut that out if you can. I know that's not how it is anymore, but save the clicks, look for automations, cut down on the back and forth tools, use Calendly. That's a first class upgrade that I love. All of those little improvements go a long way. Just if you're younger, MSP though, don't get ahead of yourself though. That was a mistake. Sometimes I got, everyone else do this. No, that doesn't mean you have to.
Right.
But find it where you can, because that's it's finite. Time is finite. You only have so much of it to give. None of us know when the end's coming, but we all have an end. And like no one no one wakes up and go, oh, I wish I would have watched 2 more episodes of that show. No, that's not what they say. On their deathbed, they're going, I wish I would have spent more time with my family, or I wish I would have done that one goal of mine. And so time, it's I had someone say to me the other day, and it was really smart, and like an investment though, time takes time. Unfortunately, some of these things you can't jump the gun on some things, and you have to pay your dues too.
What's the one book you'd recommend others read?
That I probably just pulled from it. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I have read that and listened to that multiple times. I love that book. I actually love it less about business, more about personal. There's a chapter on it, a funeral visualization, and it's like kind of just, what are people going to say about you, and like what's important to you, and that's where I was talking about the TV show thing. No, don't get me wrong, I watch TV too, but like I'd rather my kids were there going, yeah, Dad was a great guy. He really tried.
Yeah.
He showed up.
Nobody's going to say, I wish he'd finished more episodes.
Yeah. But, he got through all 30 years of The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah. At least I say that because that's what me and my daughters do.
That's awesome.
We watch Simpsons every morning. But
how old are your kids?
I like to release pace out my my graduations. So I have a 25-year-old, and then I have an 11 and 8.
Wow.
And I have a grandson.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
That's new. That one's new. He's going to be 1 this weekend.
Oh wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, and that one hit. That's a life thing for sure. Yeah,
You're now
I can't
grandpa.
believe. Oh man, it's the ultimate touche. I did this to my parents too, and it's like, it's brutal. Funny. But man, when they there's like no one else in the room when he started babbling, and you knew it was an attempt at grandpa, like that. No one else exists, and I love it. And now that's another thing. Is like, give me more of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Scott, if folks love what they heard, would love to reach out, connect with you in some way, what's the best way to do that?
Via our website, which is Fidelis, which is FIDELIS, and then northwestnw.com. We have a couple of ways on contacting us through that, and if someone wanted to reach out, just click the other and say, hey, I saw this, or love to connect with Scott or whatever. That's probably the easiest way. And it gets filtered and everything by other people, and they track me down. Like,
nice.
We get a lot of that, but I like connecting with like-minded people, not even always like-minded, different. I think we're blessed to have the differences. There's different ways to do things because that's how the world works best. If we all have do it a little differently, and if we embrace that more and more, we have more in common with our neighbors than most people think we do. And it's like, even if we don't have the same belief systems or not, I still care about them. So I think we're richer for having diversity and in thoughts and everything. And so,
yeah, that is wonderful. Scott, thank you for being on MSP Mindset. Everybody's listening. Make sure to take Scott up on his offer to reach out to him. I've learned so much today, and it has been a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And keep up the good work.